Welcome back to another episode of Mondays with Miles, where I give you kick-ass techniques to have a kick-ass week. This week we're going to be talking about a simple method to change behaviors. If you've got a behavior you don't like, this is the video for you. So if you like this video, please share with other people. Please subscribe to my YouTube pages. I'm going to keep these coming out, and let's get after it. How do you change a behavior? We all have behaviors or take actions in which we don't like and we would like to change. What if I could show you a method that is foolproof and will only cost you $3? This is a method that many therapists use in what's called cognitive behavioral therapy, which centers around the idea that all of our behaviors first start with our thoughts, which then create an emotional reaction, which then creates our behaviors or an action taken by us. So if you want to change a behavior, you can start noting and noticing, what am I thinking, what am I feeling, and what am I doing? Once you note those things down, you can start to change a behavior by getting to the source of that behavior. And that's exactly what I want to talk about in this video, and show you a method that will help you change behaviors easily and smoothly. So let's dive into it. Now, if you have the means, go to a therapist. I always recommend therapy. I work with a lot of therapists. It is great for changing your behaviors and your thought patterns, especially if you're in a very dark place. But if you don't have the means to do that or the money to do that, you can simply start the process by buying a journal. Journaling helps you bring awareness to your behaviors and the thoughts and feelings behind them. So I want to show you how you can start doing that with just a journal and a simple process for noticing and changing your behavior. But before we get into the process, it's important to understand where a behavior comes from. As I mentioned before, behaviors start with our thoughts. For example, you may be working at your job and your boss keeps giving you a lot of work. A common thought that you might have is that my boss doesn't like me. My boss always gives me the hard task at work. Whether or not this thought is true is irrelevant, because if you can change that thought to something more positive, then you're going to put a different emotion attached to that thought. So when you're thinking, my boss always gives me hard work, you're going to create an emotion of feeling depressed about it or feeling angry about it, because your thought is causing that emotion. But if you can change that thought to something of, my boss gives me hard work because they know I can do it. My boss gets on me because they want the best from me. Then you start to change the emotion that's attached to it. And when you change that emotion, then you change that behavior. So the first step is to notice, what is that thought I'm having? Am I having a negative thought? And when you notice what that thought is, see if you can change it. So by noticing your thought, you can change it, which then changes your emotions around that thought. So back to our past example. If your boss is giving you a lot of work and you change your thought to a positive one of, my boss wants me to be my best, you're going to change the emotion from anger that you had before to feeling like you can get it done, to having more hope and feel like your boss believes in you. When you change the emotion, then you start changing your behavior. So maybe you start taking more action. You start doing more things to get that work done because you've changed the emotion behind it. So if we want to change a behavior, then we need to start bringing awareness to the thought and emotion behind that behavior. One method that I use and I recommend for everybody to use is to simply journal when you're feeling or acting a certain way. When you start behaving in a way that you don't like, go pick up your journal and start to notice and write down, what am I thinking, what am I feeling, and what am I doing? So for example, the other day my wife brought up something to me that I did not like, and I could feel my anger burning up inside me. So I went and grabbed my journal and I started to note down those three things. I noted what I was thinking, what I was feeling, and what I was doing. When I started to notice what I was thinking about possibilities in the future that could go wrong. When I noticed what I was feeling anxious about those possibilities. And then when I started to notice what I was doing, I noticed that I was shutting down and not talking. That's a classic pattern for me of when I start to think about something that causes anxiety, I start to shut down and not talk. So that's a behavior I would like to change, but it starts by changing the thought that I have initially. So the more I journal, the more you journal and start to notice those thoughts behind your behaviors, the more you can start to question those thoughts and see if they're a reality. So for me, I started to think about what are those things that could happen in the future. And instead of thinking about the negative things that could happen, I started to think about the positive things that might happen if we made those changes. And that led to a more positive emotion I was feeling. I was more hopeful. And when I was more hopeful, I started to talk more and express more about what I was thinking and what I was feeling. So by simply bringing awareness to your thought, you can start to change that thought, which changes the emotion, which changes the action or behavior you are looking to change in life. So this is a method that you can use to change your behaviors. I always say journaling is therapy, but much cheaper. So if you don't have the means to go to a therapist, then this is an option that you can do to slowly change your behaviors. And all it takes is for you to bring awareness in that moment you're having an action of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're doing. Once you bring that awareness, you can start to make changes to the thought, which then creates a chain reaction to change your behavior. So if you like this video and like this technique, please comment below and let me know what you think. Please share this with other people and please subscribe to my YouTube page as I'm going to keep these coming out every week to help you all have a kick-ass week. Thank you for being here and I appreciate your support.